Hello, this video is a challenge to anyone in the world that wants to try and dissect this experience. I share it with you because it's sacred, and I am attempting to challenge anyone, psychiatrists, ministers, spiritualists, to interpret the experience and put it into context. I look forward to any feedback. If you are too critical or abusive, then keep in mind that there'll be repercussions in the form of karma for you, and when bad things happen in your life, then try and embrace it as your creation. Okay, so I write from my own perspective, as that's all I can do, and I have true intentions. At times I will refer to notes and look down and use the mouse, as I'm doing now, just to include all the points that I've documented. And I wish you well in this challenge. It will go for about 15 minutes, so because that's the time limit, so hopefully you won't get bored. I start in the early months of 1998. Everything that I placed emphasis on in my life fell down around me, and that included a 3-year relationship, a job promotion, my friendships with school friends who I had became distant with because I was a shift worker and they were working business hours. I was also drug dependent on daily consumption of marijuana. So the next thing that comes to my mind, as it would to yours, is if this person is a drug addict, is their experience valid at all, or is it null and void? I personally am not here to debate opinions. I will put this experience and how I experienced it out there, and we'll go from there. As my life fell apart, I lost faith in everything and everyone, and questioned exactly what was going on. Soon I came to realize that several synchronicities happened in my life, and they were continuing to happen. Synchronicities in the form of I would go to sleep one night with a question on my mind, and then the next day on the way to work, as I was flicking through the radio stations, the dialogue on one of the stations would answer the question I had. Or I would walk into a store and the people in the store would be talking about the specific subject and specifically answer the question I had. I was coping reasonably well with these, until one day I spontaneously went to the supermarket to get some milk. When I was in the supermarket, I saw my physics teacher for the first time in about 10 years. I went to high school, finished in 1989, and this was in 98 where I met him. I had a fist full of physics questions that no one around me could answer, so I hit him with a barrage of questions. He answered every one of them quite easily and confirmed my suspicions in regards to the interconnectedness of all of life's energies. I left the store quite happy with my milk and the answers. Accompanying synchronicities such as these was also this weird cold chill goosebump sensation that I had never experienced before. Every time a synchronistic experience happened, my body would experience goosebumps all over, accompanied by the hairs on it standing on end. I felt reasonably okay with this experience until one day I was at work and a plumber that was standing less than a metre away quoted my thoughts word for word. I thought it could be rationalisation of the environment. It could be he's reading my thoughts and picking up on those. Or it could be I am preempting his thoughts before he verbalizes them. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I just went with it. Following my persistent inquiry, I grew to realize that whatever it was that was coordinating the answers knew what I was thinking, what I was doing, and where I was going before I even got there. So these experiences sort of culminated on the 12th of July 1998. Early in the morning, my friend visited so we could watch a World Cup game. We did not indulge in marijuana this morning, as we usually would, and soon after the game he departed. I could not sleep, so I ventured down to the park to see the energy fields of the trees. I only went to see the energy fields because I had learnt to appreciate that everything has a vibrating energy field from the book called The Celestine Prophecy, which two of my friends recommended I read within the same day. So here I was, down at the park, letting my eyes relax looking at the trees so I could perceive the vibrating energy field around the trees. I was ecstatic at my newfound realizations, and I was running around the park with my hands raised, thanking God. I was the only one in the park within earshot anyway, so it didn't really matter. As I remained in the park, a drunk man was walking through it. I was so ecstatic that I wanted to share my love for life and invite him to have a lift home. So he accepted, and when he came closer I realized that I knew him. That was another coincidence, but I took him home. We went to school together in the 80s. As he exited the car, he said, "God will bless you." The state I was in, this just encouraged me, and I followed the prompting and went to the local Roman Catholic church. I arrived at the church perhaps 7:35, stayed there for a while, and the service concluded at 7:45. The minister that I talked to there was humble and encouraged me to keep searching. I departed there and drove up the 4-lane highway. Well, actually it was 2 lanes that turned into 4. And as I was doing so, I had a conversation in my mind, as you do when you're tossing up options. So here I am thinking, shall I go right and go home, or shall I go left and go to my friend Dave's church? I thought, I've had enough for one morning. I will go right. As I thought this, my hand spontaneously indicated left and moved the indicator appropriately. The frame of mind I was in, I did not have any reason to doubt the movement, and I knew that I should just follow the promptings. So at 7:55 I arrived at my friend Dave's church. I am informed that there is a service at 8 o'clock. I was ecstatic. I entered the church alone. The congregation and the regular participants were seated closer to the front. I positioned myself closer to the back row. I sat down and I felt the need to place my hands in front of me in the only mudra I knew that wasn't a prayer. At the time I didn't even know it was a mudra, and I'd never even heard of the word. But I'll give you a demo of what it looked like. My right hand was placed inside my left, with my palms facing upwards and my thumbs touching, a little like this. So here I am, feeling extremely happy, thanks to my recent realizations. But as the service continues, it validates more and more of my recent suspicions, which adds to my joy and emphasizes that I am on the right path. I listen intently without moving. Then a dialogue in my head starts. To whom I am talking to or conversing with, I have no idea. But it says, "Get up and address the congregation." I reply by saying, "What? No way!" It says, "Approach the minister and ask if you can address the congregation to discuss how everything is connected." "No way!" I reply. "I am not interrupting." As I am having this self-talk dialogue in my head, I realize that my abdomen is making strange movements. Actually, it's more like the contents of my abdomen. So I watch objectively. Without participating, I simply sit still, look at the minister, then look down at my abdomen. The intensity of the abdominal movements increased during this dialogue. The conversation continues. Approach the minister and ask if you can address the congregation. I reply, "No way." I am uncertain how long this dialogue went for, but my abdomen moved something like this. Of course, without the fist in there, and without me actually participating in the movement. So, since the thing I'm talking to, never tired, I succumbed to its will. The reason I succumbed to it was I figured it knew what was going on, at least more than me, because I personally had no idea. As soon as I agree to get up and address the congregation, the movements cease, and a smile is stamped on my face from ear to ear. I kept sitting there patiently and ecstatically until the end of the service. Then I approached the minister. I state that my name is whatever it is, and that I'm a New Age spiritualist with a newfound realization and newfound energy concept. The minister looks at me dubiously and introduces me to the congregation, then says we will be having a very interesting conversation following the service. The congregation soon departed. My friend Dave arrives for the 9 a.m. service. I tell him, and he validates that the service concludes or confirms a lot of what we have been talking about before. Immediately following the service, the second service, the minister leaves the church, makes a beeline for her car, and departs without acknowledging Dave or myself. Immediately following this experience, I am on ecstasy, not the drug, but the euphoria that the drug is trying to replicate. I couldn't explain what had happened. All I wanted to do was share the experience with others, hoping that they would too find a similar joy. Some people were critical, some people were aloof, and a few were supportive. My drug habit was brought into question, as was my mental state. All I knew was that I was happier than I had ever been before, thanks to the experience. I unwisely set upon a quest to bring this joy to the world. Sadly, I did not anticipate what was to come. That's the end of the experience and the end of my 15 minutes. Good luck diagnosing. I look forward to any feedback. Thanks a lot.